Let me give some insight on what my experience has been like. So this image, right, is generated from what they say is AI. Okay, because we have this AI that has this massive data set, and we're allowed to ask it to draw things. But actually, this is not AI. This is everybody's brain that is in the data set collaborating together to give a picture of whatever it is that you're telling it. Okay? So, because there's this thing with people, and you notice it every time. I had the problem too, that every time something comes out, it's the devil. It's just like, I guess we got that from church or something, but everything that is cryptocurrency, it's the devil. This is the devil. This is the devil. And that becomes like the default way of just like, I don't have to learn about it. I don't need to know about it. But the reality is that the reality has never went backwards. It has always kept going forward. This means that stuff be dropping and coming out, and we just think that it's going to go away and that it's not good. And we just stuck right there. And it's just like that thing would just come over and take over the entire reality, and our children be up short and everything. And then nobody ever realized what was even going on. Because the realities are like, this is even what I was saying earlier about Can and living in a reality where you have a dream plane or astral plane, you have a physical reality. That's pretty complicated stuff. That's high level stuff, and you're a part of it. You're sitting in a body. How much you think that body is really worth if we put a price on it from a technological level? This is high level stuff. So already you can't even be like, oh my goodness, I just want this to be simple. You're not a simple being. Like, you are a very vast, hyper intelligent, hyper sentient being. So, but also the beauty of what you are is you are it. You're not trying to be it. You're not like trying to become it. You are it. And so as you're approaching this now, what I've been doing then is, so as we've offered the service, we tell everyone, listen, now, shoot, let's get it while we can. If you have something that you want illustrated, you can get images directly from us. Put the book together, put the YouTube thumbnail, whatever you were doing, put the extra sauce on it. We got the service available for you. Like, we can bring your imagination into an image, right? So that's the first thing I could do. I think I turned that around the tribe in 48 hours of us gaining access, right? So definitely passed it to the tribe first. Then when I went on my deep dive, and I also got a chance to sit in with the developers, which actually happens to be one of the main guys that was on the project with it's a super complicated AI headset that came out not too long ago. I remember here in a minute. But anyway, so I got a chance to really hear what the thoughts were, not only from people, but the people who were creating it and all of that. But what I started noticing, first of all, was, since you can see everybody's images also that don't have like a corporate plan, you could see the mind of everyone. Like, when you look into those galleries, you can see the minds of these 15,000 people who have access to this system. And you can see that 70% of it, first of all, is horror. This means that still in our reality, we have to realize that there are some very demented minds. And that, of course, that's the astral plane. The mind is the astral plane. Like, if we're as a collective, as a humanity, but we have minds that have very dark, distorted kind of fantasies and imagery that they want to see act out, that also makes those things also present on the astral plane in certain ways. The vibration and the frequency is there. So that's why it's also so imperative for us always to stay vibed high, like to really, really be harmonized and to stay out of those low, distorted, disruptive points. Because down there, if you may, or wherever that is, in that distortion, it's getting worse and worse. Because when the consciousness don't have like enlightenment, there's nothing else that comes to it but this distortion. So if you don't have you don't want to Google this thing saying men walking through a stargate in the sun into everlasting continuum, and it'll spit back an image like that, versus a mindset that'll say dark, grim, horror, feature, super spooky, somebody dying, all this kind of stuff, right? And then push back that, right? So the interesting thing about it is that in looking at a lot of spiritual works, because I had to study a lot of different works to kind of understand what was going on in the occult. And at times when I would be reading certain stuff or even seeing certain images, I had to gain a thicker skin for kind of just going through that. At first, I just was like, man, I don't even want to see any of that. And then after a while, I realized that if I didn't understand what they were doing, then I would never understand how it was being done. And I had to gain a thicker skin for it. So in this process, even going through these galleries, it was like I seemed to become upgraded with the visualization and imagination of possibly thousands, if not millions of people. But not as an image, but as a way of how images are formulated, like how our consciousness begins to generate a reality. And I would just say that it took me to a whole nother level. Like even nothing has really been the same for me since, of just maybe a few days of immersion of seeing the minds of hundreds of thousands of beings and understanding like where we're all at. And that's when things started getting very serious for me even more, because I realized that it was like, I'm just trying to articulate this. It was like an upgrade that lets you really see, hey, you're in something that is super, super deep. Like you're into something that, just you even being here and, it just the basic stuff would just be blowing your mind. Like,